Coming up on Theater Talk.
Tyrone, I'm going away, and I'd like to have you guest write my column while
You're going away?
Yeah,
they finally putting you away? What'd they get you on, man?
Crimes against the American theater.
Ah.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
Show them what you've been working on.
Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so.
From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
Now, Michael, we are already here having a wonderful time with the creative team of the new, soon-to-be Broadway hit, Hand to God.
Which was a big, big sensation off Broadway.
Yes,
that my friend Charles Isherwood of the New York Times gave a rave to. And on the strength of Charles's review, Hand to God, a new American play, as they're calling it, is arriving on Broadway.
It's a wonderful theater experience, and I think will play all over the world. And I'm talking to the playwright / bartender, Robert Askins.
I don't bartend at the play.
No.
You bartend at the Booth Theater?
Yeah, every once in a while I'll pick up a shift when I'm short.
Robert.
Which is all the time. I'm 5'8". Hey-o! Watch out, folks.
Moritz von Stuelpnagel.
Hey, there you go. All right.
Director.
You really get that right.
Yeah, it was close enough. We're within the Stuelpnagel.
Thank you very much.
There you are, yes.
Who's the director of this?
The director of this play. And the magnificent star, Stephen Boyer.
It's pronounced von Stuelpnagel.
It's spelled Boyer.
Who plays, in essence, two parts in Hand to God. Rob.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with this?
My mother had a Christian puppet ministry when I was growing up in Cypress, Texas. This play is ripped from the headlines.
It is.
Is she really?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Nothing about this is false.
In Cypress, Texas. And
Yeah,
what was
man.
the point of the Christian puppet?
Share the love of Jesus, man.
So kids would make puppets to sort of get in touch with God?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's a way to keep kids awake while you're trying to tell them about Jesus. You know what I mean? And also, a lot of these mega churches right now, they're putting their money into gyms and coffee shops. And when you get done doing that, you got to find a way to spend the money you're making. So you have a puppet theater.
Go buy some socks.
Exactly.
Make sock puppets.
And you had utter contempt for this whole thing?
Absolutely not.
No, you were a
I was,
serious puppet
listen, man, as a kid, theatrically inclined, growing up in the church, what could be better? Do you know what I mean? I started off as a choir boy, and then I ended up doing some youth ministry, so I was preaching a little bit, and in between I stopped by puppets.
So, Rob, when did you change? When did you
break away from the puppet ministry, Rob?
This morning? Well, I don't know. It depends what you mean by change. I still feel like what we do is a religious experience.
Yep.
It
theater.
is.
Yeah.
It is. And because it's a very, very funny play and outrageous in some ways, but you have some very serious things to say about religion. And I must say, after I saw it the other night, I went right home and asked the publicist to send me a script because I wanted to reread your epilogue.
Oh, thank you.
Some people read the Bible.
Yeah.
No, your interpretation is awfully good on the history of religion. Yeah,
Are you still
not
religious?
Very much.
I am. There is no church that says what I believe, so there's no church I go to. So I go to the theater, and I write down what I believe and share it with other people. How about that?
That's a
good.
very, very
That's
good answer. You're getting very polished here.
Hey, thanks, man.
I'll have a dry martini, please.
Yeah, no problem. Here, just a second.
Moritz, how did you become involved in? How did this play?
Well,
cross
so
your
the
desk?
three of us, along with Geneva Carr, who plays Marjorie in the show, we were all members of Ensemble Studio Theater and had done many, many shows together at EST, worked together quite often. And so Rob wrote this play for the two of them, asked me to come on board and work on it. We did a reading of it in the Southampton Writers Conference, and it went like unlike any reading I've ever been a part of. And based on that, Billy Carden at EST decided to produce the play there, and then we went to MCC.
And Stephen, where did you find this wonderful actor?
Well, Steve and I had done.
I was living under a bridge.
That's it.
It was tough times, and
Asking people riddles.
Well,
He
if by
gave me a
bridge
cl-
you
he
mean
gave
like
me
you
a
were on the
Cliff
road
Bar,
and
and
doing stand-up, but you're doing stand-up on the road. And I think you said, you know, I want to give this guy something meaty to chew on. So what's better than one role is maybe two roles at the same time.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of how we came about.
Steve, you're a stand-up comedian or an actor? What was...
I'm an actor. I went to Juilliard right out of high school, but you know, like a lot of actors,
Couldn't get work.
Exactly. So.
So stand-up comedy, that's the ticket to the top.
Exactly. It's like kind of on the entertainment industry ladder. It's like one step above stripper as far as like performers are concerned.
Good.
No, Stephen
Excellent.
has a
Well
very
done.
high reputation in the New York theater community, of which you know a little. And he played the fool in John Lithgow's Lear.
Sorry, I missed it.
It's all right. You can't see everything.
Has won a number of awards. Now, we should say that as it happens, this play happens to be about a maladjusted teenager in Texas, in the puppet workshop.
Are you going to ask me if I'm maladjusted?
I was going to say.
I've
Because I am.
She's got an accusatory finger going right there.
Sorry.
No, so the maladjusted teenager is in the puppet workshop,
Yeah.
and then his sock puppet becomes, so it seems, possessed by the devil.
Yes.
And says the things that you really wanted to say when you were in that puppet workshop as a child.
Sure. Why not? That sounds like a good interpretation.
I mean, I think he says like a lot of the things we all sort of struggle
Yeah.
to find a voice for when we are teenagers.
But I don't. I
How to,
also.
like, you know, yeah. Go ahead.
No. I also think it's dangerous to talk about a negative truth as being the truth with a capital T. He says the most aggressive thing possible to polarize the room and to push people around, and sometimes that's true, and sometimes that's just destructive.
Yeah. And annoying.
Absolutely.
And were you like that as a
of.
maladjusted
Absolutely.
child?
It was awful. It was terrible.
He's really
Is he still like that now?
nightmare of a human being.
Yes.
Yeah, I am a show.
Does he lose his temper? Does he yell at you? Does he say, this sucks, this is terrible?
Just wait. He's going to flip this table.
At some point. At some point, it's a game I play. How long does it take me to get kicked out of the interview?
And you've also got Mark Kudish in his greatest role.
Oh, Cootie.
Oh, that guy will tear things apart too.
Yeah,
He's
man.
the minister.
Oh, yeah,
He's
yeah.
the minister.
He'll go.
Sarah
Hairstyles.
Stiles, who was the best thing in the parks Into the Woods, I thought. And
wonderful.
she's great.
Yeah,
she's
she's
great in
terrific.
that.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience in puppeteering?
I'd done a show called Jolly Ship the Whiz Bang, which was a pirate.
That was great.
Pirate puppet rock
I missed the
opera.
King Lear, but I saw that one. That was terrific.
Hey, it was pretty awesome. It was by Nick Jones, and that was the first time I'd used puppets. And then Rob wrote this and asked me to do a reading of it, and then as an afterthought was like, by the way, do you have any experience with puppets?
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, lucky for you, I have a little.
Who made the puppet?
Well, Steve made the original prototype, but you were just going to do it with like an oven mitt or something?
With an oven mitt, and I'm like, I'm not. 50% of what I have to do in this play, I'm not going to do with an oven mitt. So I Googled easiest puppet to make. Sock puppet came up, and so I bought a pair of sweat socks, and I made a sock puppet, and I used the second sock in the pair to make little arms.
Even now, the puppet we're using is sort of modeled after the puppet Steve originally designed. He's still made of a sock. That's, you know, Broadway or not, he's still made from socks. And
Ed Hardy socks, in fact.
Well, let's talk about Tyrone. I do think that our viewers
Thank you.
deserve a little
To meet Tyrone.
He's
yeah.
around.
So, Michael, I feel that you and Tyrone were made to meet.
Well, Tyrone, welcome to Theater Talk. I'm sorry that you weren't on to begin with, but these three...
Where am I? What is this?
This is called Theater Talk.
Who are you? Who are you?
I'm Michael...
I recognize these guys.
Tyrone, I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
Michael Riedel.
Riedel.
How did Riedel?
Riedel.
Okay, Michael Ray, and you?
I'm the producer, Susan.
You're a producer. You have money.
No, I'm afraid I don't.
You're my best friend.
No. So now, Tyrone, Michael Riedel is known as the Butcher of Broadway. He's the most evil person on Broadway.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's
All right,
right.
all right.
I thought that was me.
Yeah,
No, I got there. I got there before you, my friend. Actually, you know, Tyrone, I'm going away, and I'd like to have you guest write my column while
You're going away.
yeah,
They finally putting you away? What'd they get you on, man? Tax evasion?
Crimes against the American theater.
Ah.
But I think you'd be good to guest write my column, because you know what you could do? You go around and review the other shows on Broadway.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't really hold a pen.
What do you think about your co-star, Stephen Boyer?
I have no opinion.
There's a lawsuit I shouldn't say.
That guy guy has his hand up my ass every day. Every day.
I know, but you got the reviews. He didn't.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I got the bigger dressing room, too. It's nice.
And you get a car and a driver?
Oh, yeah, I get a car, I get dancing girls, I get, you know, I'm going to get you guys to, like, serve me canapes backstage. You know, you're going to be in hot pants just serving me canapes.
Oh, you don't want to see that?
Did I see you eating with Helen Mirren at Barson Trolley the other night?
Helen. Oh, my God. Yes. I was whispering things in her ear.
Oh, really? She goes younger.
She what?
She goes
Well,
younger.
you sent her.
So I got a chance. You're telling me I've got a chance.
Yes, you do. You
Nice. What are you looking at?
Does it ever get creepy with the way this thing comes to life?
No, not at all. It's not a bit
I meant
creepy.
Steven.
Who?
Steven, your co-star, the way he comes to life.
No idea who that is.
Are you an actor who believes in sharing the stage with your fellow players?
Well, I mean, you know, people come to see me, so, you know, I just try to give the people what they want.
Oh, that's true.
You know? I mean, like, I hear that there are other lines in the show. I don't really register them. To me, it's just one big monologue.
That's it. And you're on stage a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, give the people what they want. I'm the titular character.
Right. I hear, because I cover Broadway as a gossip columnist, and there's a lot of talk about finding a musical for you next season.
Oh, yeah, no, I want to be in Jesus H. Christ Superstar.
What
That's
role?
my favorite.
What role?
You know, I think I'd like to play,
Judas.
Whoever goes, what's the buzz, tell me what's happened. I love that. Oh, that song. I just love that. I'm like, what's the buzz, tell me what's happening, what's the buzz, tell me what's happening, what's the buzz, tell me what's happening, what's the buzz. That's great.
I pegged you for I don't know how to love him kind of a guy.
No, I hate that. Boring. Boring.
You've all done wonderful work, but I also hope that your set designer gets some.
Fail for it.
There's one scene, I don't want to give it away, but where sort of, Tyrone, where you sort of take over the set.
There's a certain moment in the show where Tyrone takes over the space and he sort of, you know, redecorates in his own image. And so he uses whatever is at hand, the paints, supplies, and toys and whatever to, you know, kind of create a kind of hellscape of martyred saints.
It's unnerving. He's been staring at me the whole time you've been talking.
Do you remember doing that?
Speaking of hellscape, I got to get back to my apartment.
This interview is over.
It's a JanSport backpack. I gotta get there. I think I left the oven on.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Robert and Moritz, thanks for being our guests on Theater Talk, and good luck with Hand to God at the Booth Theater.
Well, Costello, I'm going to New York with you. You know, Buck Harris, the Yankees manager, gave me a job as coach as long as you're on the team. Look, Abbott, if you're a coach, you must know all the players. Well, I certainly do. Well, I've never met the guys, so you have to tell me their names, then I'll know who's playing on a team. Oh, I'll tell you their names. But, you know, it seems to me nowadays they give these ball players very particular names. Oh, what, you mean funny names? Well, let's see who's on the bags. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know's on third. That's what I want to find out. I said, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know's on third. You're the manager? Yes. You gonna be the coach too? Yes. And you don't know the fellas' names? Well, I should. Then who's on first? Yes.
So now we are delighted to be joined by the co-founding artistic directors of 24/6, a Jewish theater company, Yoni Oppenheim, Jonathan Oppenheim, Yoni Oppenheim now, and Avi Soroka.
Who
Who
used to be our interns
Yes.
here at Theater Talk, and now they've gone off.
To be grown up.
After learning all they could learn from me. And they've gone off and they formed their own very successful theater company. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So tell us, what's the theory behind the theater company?
Our mission is to be a home for Sabbath-Observant theater artists in New York and to rigorously engage in Jewish tradition in the work that we do to create innovative, cutting-edge theater. So
nothing on Saturday is what you're telling me?
No, Friday night, Friday sunset to Saturday sunset.
You mean so like the big weekend box office? You just guys decided that's that.
So there's no Saturday night performance.
Well, depends on when the Sabbath ends.
Oh, I
at some point once the nights get longer, you know, and there's more
like winter time.
Winter time, there's more
Oh, so you
time
can have
after.
late night cabaret still.
Right.
Yes.
could do
Yes.
that, yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. And do you do new works? Is that the mission too, to do new works, or do you do revivals of classic works from Jewish theater?
Both new works and when we've done classics, we did a Purim, A Dollhouse by Ibsen. So it was a modern reset of a dollhouse set in post-Madoff New York City, and so the banking issues come to light, and it was set on Purim and playing off of the Purim story and the aesthetic of a Purim spiel. We did Avi translated Uncle Vanya, which we did last year. He speaks Russian, and we said it during there's a Tu B'Shvat ritual. Tu B'Shvat is a Jewish Arbor Day, and we said it. We interpolated the play with that ritual. When we do classics, we look at them through a Jewish lens. We just did a Dibbuk for Two People, which is Busmeyer's version of the Dibbuk, which is a Jewish classic play.
Now, Yoni, I've known you since you were a senior in high school. You had your yarmulke. You were a Sabbath observant, and here you are, all these years later. Why is that important to you to keep doing that?
Why is
an easy question, right?
An easy question.
You know, you
It's
have
his religion. It's his belief.
No, but I'm going to a deeper place.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's secular over here.
And why is it important to do theater that observes the Sabbath?
Right.
That's it. All right.
So why is it important to do theater that observes the Sabbath? I think that essentially, as in college, for example, I was the only person in the entire Tisch program, which is hundreds of students, who was Sabbath observant with the yarmulke on their head, and theater's about everyone's different stories, and if essentially you're saying if you observe the Sabbath, you don't have a voice in the theater, you're cutting out, I would say a lot of people, but you're cutting out really interesting stories and really interesting perspectives on stories. So for me, it's from that perspective of what I love so much about Judaism is the story. I think we have a great story, the people of the book, and that we're a storytelling people, I connected to theater, so theater is a way to tell stories. I think for the Jewish community, particularly the observant Jewish community, who often don't go to the theater, we're giving them a chance to engage in their own. When we're doing A Dollhouse, that we're dealing with the issue of a woman's place in the Orthodox community, in the modern Orthodox community. When we're doing Chekhov, we're giving actors who otherwise would never in a million years get a chance to do a Chekhov play, a chance to do it. We're introducing Chekhov to an audience who's never seen his work, and we're introducing this interesting Jewish ritual to people who've never heard about it.
I mean, part of the birth of 24/6 was that I was working as a professional stage manager right out of college, and I was 21 years old when I got my union card, when I got into equity, and then suddenly now I can only work on union shows. And when you're interviewing for a stage manager position and they tell you we rehearse Friday nights, the second I got into the union, all the doors closed for me. I did a season with the Arizona Jewish Theater Company, and when I came back, I couldn't find work anywhere. And I had to give up theater. Stage management is a profession. It was my passion, and I had to give it up, unfortunately, because.
But there's no question in your mind that's going to be, that you're not going to work on Friday.
Right.
No way, no how. You're not.
Right. It wasn't happening. And
it wasn't happening.
I was even actually, I remember I was 19 years old. I was working with a theater company, and the artistic director of that theater company pulled me aside. He said, I grew up as a Sabbath-observant Jew. He said, you have to make your choice. Judaism or theater. You're not going to have both. And I said to myself, no, I'm going to make it work. And I stayed with that company, and I kept getting hired, and I got into the union, and everything stopped.
But I mean, presumably there are laws that they can't discriminate agaast.
Of course they're not going to. Of course they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you that's why they don't hire you. But when it comes down to you,
there's a look that you see.
Yeah, it's like, well, but I can't be here Friday night, and I can't be here Saturday during the day.
And what's that? How's the look? You're an actor. Give us the look.
Yeah,
it's like I'm trying to restrain something. I've seen it.
There's a door, and
even for things like observerships. Honestly, as a director, for SDC observerships, and you get to the interview, and like a lot of people apply, and you're sitting with the director or with their assistant, and then there's that look, and you wonder, do I tell them?
Well, you don't. That's the thing. You don't mention it until you almost feel that you've got
And by the way,
the gig. It's like, and by the way, now that you've decided that I am the right person for this job, there's 25 hours out of the week where I just can't commit.
Right.
And is it just because you can't work those 24 hours, or are they like, ooh, well, we're kind of artsy theater people.
No, not
we
at
don't
all.
believe
It's,
in
well,
these
no, I mean,
religions anymore. Is that
I've never. That was never the attitude that I got.
Yeah.
You know?
It depends. I would say it depends.
You rehearse. Rehearsals Friday night, Saturday during the day. If they have to hire you and an ASM and an assistant stage manager, where they can just hire a stage manager who will be there Friday and Saturday, that's the route they're going to go. And like I said, I'd come back from Phoenix and I stopped working in theater, and at some point I was just getting hungry, and I got together with a bunch of friends and I said, you know what, there are a lot of Sabbath-observant Jews out there who don't have a place, who just don't pursue the arts because they become accountants and lawyers and doctors and every stereotype in the book. And I eventually came to Yoni and I said, we need to do this. This needs to happen.
You feel that sometimes the theater community is like a person who really believes in his religion? Do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I think theater people are people of faith, but it's a different, it's a faith of the theater, of something, of also of something bigger and something magical, and that's why you do something live, because there's that communion between you and the audience. But you definitely have, or just, I used to be very eager to answer people's questions about why I do things, and at a certain point you get tired of it, and people don't ask other people about every single thing they do. So it does get exhausting at a certain point, or the feeling that you need to be the representative of a religion as opposed to just being an individual human being.
But yet it's your theater company because you're taking a righteous, and I mean that in a good way, position.
We're taking ownership of that.
Yes.
Yes. Well, in some ways, though, you're like many people in the theater business who they couldn't get work. Not because they're Sabbath observing, but because there just isn't a lot of work. So they go off and they form their own theater companies.
And I think in general, I think it's exactly right. I think the attitude in the theater is often, especially for actors, when I talk to young actors and mentoring people, is sort of a mentality of you have to wait for somebody to give you a job or for someone's approval. And what I think people need to learn is, no, you need to take ownership of your
do it yourself.
life, your art, your career.
Create your own
and
theater
do it
company.
yourself. Create your own theater company, create opportunities, even if it's, just gathering a bunch of friends and reading a play. I remember Joe Montello saying that when he was younger, just meeting up with friends and reading plays together. I think even I saw an interview with about A Normal Heart that he had read it years earlier. But the idea of always being creative and not just waiting around for opportunity to knock.
Well, that's how we formed Theater Talk, because Susan was waiting around for the call to replace Jane Pauley on the Today Show.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And she decided, well, I didn't come.
That's really where I was.
So I got to form our own TV show. Now, before we wrap it up, guys, since you worked with us when we were just young and starting out, were we obnoxious bosses?
Susan wasn't.
Actually, I felt that
not at all, actually.
Susan was an early mentor for me, and she came to my first shows at NYU. I did Swan Song by Chekhov, and the generosity that I felt that I had here is something that I, now being a bit older and they're younger people, and I think the theater company wanting to create, the idea of generosity, wanting to create something not for myself, because at the end of the day I could gather actors and do any show, but the idea we want to do this thing for other people really comes from an example I got from the two of you, and especially Susan, because I'd written her a letter several years earlier, and to keep something for several years, and then when the schedule opens up, to write somebody and just be generous. And I remember you telling me to get the theatrical index. I was looking for an internship between end of high school and beginning the gap year in Israel, and you told me, look up the theatrical index, write different producers. And I did, and I got, before I went to Israel, I got an internship at Nico Associates, Manny Cloditis.
Yeah,
and that was through, I had emailed a different producer, and he forwarded the sense of people who are generous in the theater are the people that I love, both working with, but who really inspire me, and I think the work that 24/6
Generous,
does.
that doesn't really describe me, does it?
But it was also,
you wrote me a recommendation for NYU saying that I know more about theater than you do.
Oh, good for
So
you.
you did.
But also,
did you write that?
I probably did.
She wrote it.
But also, when it came to an issue of the Sabbath, there wasn't a problem. There was a filming that was on a Friday night. I said I can't be there. You guys didn't.
Right.
I totally understand. That's totally fine.
We're progressive here.
And you got him the autograph.
And you got me Tim Rice's autograph.
Well, that was.
And you got me Tim Rice's autograph on top of that. Not only did I not have to work, I got a reward.
So
We
that's
are model employers.
You really are the best.
well,
Congratulations on
congratulations,
your
Yoni
success with the theater
Yoni
company
and
called
Avi.
24/6, a Jewish theater company. Where are you located? Do you have a permanent base, or do you?
Do not have a permanent base.
So you rent space?
Yeah, when we need to rent space.
And we have relationships like with the JCC in Manhattan. We've had it with.
We worked with the Sixth Street Synagogue for a
We
while.
were in residence. We just had a fire around the corner yesterday.
And Yoni was the dramaturg on Doug Wright's new play, Posterity, which is now at the Atlantic. I just want to say that that's an impressive credit as well.
Yes.
Both of you, congratulations. We're
Well,
very proud of you.
And I think anyone, young people watching the show who want to be in the theater, take the example and go out and create your own theater.
Yep.
Don't wait around for the phone call.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Yoni and Avi, great to see you guys again. Thanks, guys. Good luck with the theater.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That is really good.
Thank you.
Did you come up with that all by yourself?
Yes. Liar. That's a famous routine from the 50s. 30s. You'd know that if you weren't so stupid.
Hey.
Shut up, Tyrone.
Yeah, shut up, Tyrone.
But that's okay, because he still thinks you're hot. That's enough.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the CORY and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, plus public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.